Doma Sports Talk, worldwide, and I'm here with a little news. It's not boxing, um, little MMA, and I don't really watch MMA, but this is significant. I got a little something to say about it. Your girl Ronda Rousey, right? She's lost again. Now I haven't seen the fight, but word has it that she lost in 48 seconds, right? Um, you know, Whatever. I don't really watch it anyway, but I do understand who she was and her significance. And a few things had bothered me last year before she lost the first fight. So this is her second loss in 12 fights, right? Now, my issue is that we have to stop labeling fighters that are unworthy, right? Now, people, a person or people go as far as you let them, right? We, the consumer, have to not let them go this far with labeling these fighters, right? Because they label who they want to. They label some of them, be it for different reasons, and other ones they just don't mention for different reasons, right? Some of them, most of the time it's dark reasons. But we have to stop letting them do this because Ronda Rousey, it really irked me when they gave her Fighter of the Year, right? And put her on Ring Magazine. If I'm not mistaken, it was Ring Magazine, Boxing Magazine, which you don't even do, right? And they just put her in front of Floyd Mayweather. Basically snubbed the man who had been boxing for years, right? 49-0, and had just beat another guy they labeled something. They labeled him Fighter of the Decade. So if you label someone Fighter of the Decade and he gets dominated by someone that's undefeated in 49 fights or 48 at the time, then you don't put anyone in front of him that's not even in boxing. You understand? And the outrage wasn't that of what it should have been. It should have been a massive outrage, similar to the outrage that Floyd Mayweather got by fighting Andre Berto, who was a two-time champion, or that Timothy Bradley got after getting a decision win over Pacquiao, where he got death threats. You understand? That's outrage. There was no outrage like that. A few people said something, a few uploaders maybe, but the mainstream media wasn't outraged. And that's what happens. So we have to stop being gullible as a consumer, right? And we have to stop letting them label people that are unworthy. Rousey was in movies. She was the most. You know what they even said about Ronda Rousey? That she was the best fighter in human history. The best fighter in human history, guys. Do you know how many fighters there are, even in MMA, K1? But boxers, all just think about it. I don't have to start naming boxers, but the best in human history. They were even saying that she was probably able to beat a Floyd Mayweather, right? Stuff like that, guys. So here she is, has lost two fights to people her same size, women, right? In her 12th fight with two losses now. So I'm hoping that we've learned something from this, right? Because there's a lot of fighters that are overhyped, and that's no problem but hyping a fighter, but you don't slight the fighters who are deserving. This is my point. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's start with Canelo, for example, right? I think that his people, which is, first of all, we're all earthlings, so it's our people. But the people that come from the same country, maybe Mexico, they need to get on him about, hey, Canelo, you don't fight anyone that's your size or heavier, for the longest. And he's labeled now the face of boxing. All of these other fighters are not. Canelo's the face of boxing, right? Okay, cool. But you haven't fought anyone your size. And he won't find a, we fought at his own weight. With 1,000 weight classes, he finds his own weight, the ones that's comfortable for him, right? Then he won't go to 160, he stays at 155. Then he goes to 154. And here's where this gets interesting. Right now, as we speak, the 154-pound division is, if not the best division in boxing, it is the second best. It's up there. It is booming in the 154-pound division. Now, I'm not going to even do research. I'm just going to spit this off the dome of people who are right there to fight Canelo. You have Arislandi Lara, a fight that you need to correct anyway because most people thought you didn't win it. It was a 50-50, right? You got a decision, which is nothing new, right? Because you're the face of boxing. So you would want to correct that. He's there. Then you have Charlo brothers, right? Both of them have a title. Twin brothers. Wow, what a story. And they come from Texas. You like to fight in Texas because of the Mexican population there, right? That would be huge to fight either one of those guys that come from Texas, right? So there are three right there. And then the one that we know you ain't trying to fight. Matter of fact, not too many people are trying to fight at 154. Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, right? The one who had the title that you wouldn't got from Liam Smith, right? Because no one would fight him. And he had little contractual issues, right? But he's undefeated. This is all in the division. And what's going to happen now? Canelo's about to leave to go fight Chavez Jr. at 165, and he didn't even want to fight at 160. These are the things that are not worthy of a face of boxing type of guy. And he's going to get away with it. Why? Because he's gotten away with everything else. And no one is going to check him. His people need to check him, right? And then that's when he might listen. But as long as he keeps going somewhere and the stadiums are full and he makes decent pay-per-view numbers, this is going to continue. This is what I'm talking about, right? That is not, it's not okay. Simple as that. It's just not okay. Now, let's just see somebody else that I think, right? Let's just go to Gennady Golovkin, right? 160-pound division, and they consider him the most avoided fighter in boxing. This is what they would say. He's the most avoided fighter in boxing, right? And I am not a boxing channel. I'm just a sport dude, and I keep up on my sport, right? Boxing is a sport that I kind of keep up on. So he's the most avoided guy in boxing, right? That's what they would say. They say it on national TV all the time. So the gullible fans could just, okay, swallow it, and that must be the case, right? Well, just from the top, right? Arislandi Lara will come for 154 to come up and fight him at 160. He ignores that. Jamal Charlo would go up to 160 to fight him. No one kind of says anything about that. I know Andrade will too. I haven't heard him say it. He said he'll do it later, but he would too. And so while you're picking on smaller fighters, you seem not to pick on these that are willing to fight him. And those are the ones that are smaller than him, right? Now, we know that James DeGale from 168 division, and everyone knows that Andre Ward was at 168 and wanted to fight him and did everything to fight him. Now, and what bothers me is, first of all, that's 5 people I just mentioned. 5. And that's just off the top. There are more, right? There are more that are itching to fight him. Not just want to, itching to fight him, right? But he's the most avoided fighter, right? Now, and if you were this great fighter and you were interested in your legacy, you take that Andre Ward fight. If he would have beaten Andre Ward, let's say a year and a half ago or whatever, we have nothing to talk about. That was the biggest thing that you could have done. Your team, everybody should have wanted that fight because he could have won in that fight and lost with points and still been hailed as something great. But to not take it, the boxing insiders, they know this. So I'm not telling them anything. I'm just I'm tattletelling to the casual fans so they can kind of know. I'm just tattling, okay? Dropping a dime or whatever you want to call it because it's ridiculous, right? There's a ton of people that want to fight him. He's not the most avoided fighter in boxing. Then they'll say this on national TV too all the time. He has the highest knockout percentage in boxing, right? Well, he's close. But he doesn't have the highest knockout percentage in boxing. That's Deontay Wilder, okay? It's Deontay Wilder. In the heavyweight division, right? Just learned how to fight at 19 years old. The man's 30, right? Pretty much no amateur experience. And he has only one person that stood in the ring with him. And on that day, his hand was broke since round 4. He has a better knockout percentage than Golovkin. So what they need to be saying is, Gennady Golovkin has the second best knockout percentage in boxing. behind Deontay Wilder, just to kind of remind people, but they don't. And they don't have to because no one checks them on it. See, this is the thing about boxing where you have to really be careful. Now, if when you talk about boxing, I've seen it. You go in people's, uploaders, they say something positive about a certain fighter. You got 4 normal comments, and the 5th one is going somewhere dark, right? We won't even be talking about boxing anymore. This is how these people roll, right? But hey, it is what it is. We know that evil people outnumber good people by a long shot. I'm not finished here. We got one right now, Lomachenko, right? Lomachenko is a bad boy. But for some reason, he's got to be the top pound for pound. They are trying to push it down your throat that he's going to be the pound for pound. He's the most skilled, and he has to have it for some reason. Don't let it happen until he earns it, right? Now, they want to give him Fighter of the Year right now. And I did a video about it because I don't like the fact that they said he's a runaway Fighter of the Year candidate. He's a Fighter of the Year candidate. There's no doubt about it. But he's running away with it. When there's people like Terrence Crawford and another one a dark horse that I have is Joseph Parker. That's just me though, right? But he shouldn't be a runaway. No, he shouldn't even be a runaway. That's ridiculous. When you have Terrence Crawford right there, and he's done some great things this year too. So, but they want to have him pound for pound, and so these are the things you do. You give him Fighter of the Year, similar to Ronda Rousey. You understand where I'm going with this? Now, here's another one. Anthony Joshua, I'm putting him in here on purpose. I'm putting him in here on purpose just to give it a little bit of evenness, Anthony Joshua's not hyped in the stratosphere of these guys that I'm talking about. Just not. But I wanted to put him in there, Anthony Joshua knocked out everybody, so he should be a little hyped, but I don't hear anyone saying that he's the Fighter of the Year or anything. But what I do hear that I don't like is that he's the best heavyweight in the world. He's not yet. Right? He has to prove that, right? And what else about Anthony Joshua? He's an Olympic gold medalist. He is. But everybody that saw them Olympics know pretty much. They were in London, guys, and he had about 4 fights, and every one of those 4 fights were controversial. Every single one of it, he didn't win none of those fights dominantly, right? So what I'm saying here is there's a little hype going on there. But see, England, they're going to follow all of their fighters, period. There's no differences between the fighters. England, they're behind their fighters. But no excuses. Anthony Joshua's getting a little bit too hyped as well. Let's slow your roll a little bit, everybody, and let's stop labeling these fighters until they deserve it. Because what happens is, and here's what's unjust about it. This is the point. People are fighting. There's other fighters that are worthy. That's the bottom line. The fighters that are worthy are being slighted and ignored, right? Some cases totally blackballed, and put on the outskirts and can't get any significant fights. This is why we can't let this happen because those good fighters, the great fighters, they're going, they're not in the limelight at all, guys. Some of them you don't know. Sometimes I mention names of people, casual fans that are more casual than I am. Mention names to them. They don't know these names. Man, if you say Demetrius Andrade to somebody, they don't know him, right? They don't know him. And he's probably the second most avoided fighter in boxing. Guillermo Rigondeaux, who I'm going to say pretty much every video I talk about boxing. People don't know these guys. And they're there. They're not some kind of fairy tale characters. They're there. They're fighting right now. Can't get fights. People won't mention their names when they're on TV. Because if they do, somebody might Google him or YouTube him and find out and start telling him you need to fight him. So that's why they're not mentioning him. So, to make a long story short, man, Ronda Rousey was hyped. She was doing her thing. She was handling her business for a while. She should have been a little hyped. But you don't slight fighters that are better than her and more proven. So let's just stop labeling these fighters before they're deserving. Y'all get that? It was one of these long videos, I understand, but it was kind of important to get that out there. You know what I'm saying? Doing Sports Talk worldwide, and I'm up out of here, y'all.